Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Pandemic Community Conversations. Today, we have a very special guest with us. It's Doreen Williams James. Greetings, Doreen.
Thank you, Jean. Greetings to you as well.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Beyond the Pandemic. Again, if anyone is interested in participating in our community conversations, please email us at info@beyondthepandemic.tv. So, greetings, Doreen. It's great to have you on the show today. I'll jump right in. When I was looking through your bio, it said you trained and received your education in the healthcare professional as a funeral director, and you're currently proprietor of the Alpha Funeral Home. Can you explain the connection to us between healthcare and funeral homes, please? I'm sure I'm not the only one who smiled when they saw that.
Yes, yes. Well, I would say that, if there was a contagious disease that broke out in the community, we would
Mm-hmm.
be involved in that as well
Mm-hmm.
because, we're dealing with deceased bodies who may have the communicable disease. And when you look at what government classifies us as, we are part of the healthcare profession. So we just that our clients are deceased. When it comes to the human body, it operates in an amazing way. We have to learn the same amount of information as a nurse and some other professions that are in the healthcare profession. So we very much are in the healthcare profession, just that our clients are deceased.
Mm. Very interesting. Thank you for explaining that to us. Like I said, I'm sure I'm not the only one who had the question about that. But yeah. So
Yes.
I guess let's go in about your experience with the pandemic over the past 18 months.
Mhm.
How has it impacted you, your family, and your business?
Let me start with my family. I have an elderly father, 84 years of age. Of course, there are concerns when it comes to the elderly because you want to make sure that they are protected, of course. So, when it comes to my father's a very sociable person, he likes to communicate with people. And I made the choice not to bombard him with all the facts and stuff that's all out there about COVID and everything. I do not want to stress my dad out with all of that. But at the same time, I had to restrict people from coming to the house
Mm,
because he's up in age. He has uh, various, his immune system is not the best, not as how mine would be.
mm-hmm.
So, we have to explain to him why people can't come in, why he can't hug people, why this, why that. So it's been a challenge dealing with an elderly parent. And then also when it comes to my girls and myself, we have to be careful as far as, uh, who we go around, who we've been with, because we are the main caregivers of my dad, in addition to my brothers as well. So it's been a challenge dealing with someone that's elderly, a parent, and then dealing with the funeral profession. It's really have has been quite a challenge. Um, for the fact that, let's say, for instance, you have an elderly person, their spouse dies, and I can recall one situation where the family had decided to go with cremation because uh, there were so many restrictions on the funerals where only a certain amount of people were able to attend. The family was quite large. So it was put off for at least 4 months, to before they decided to have a memorial service. So it's a constantly grieving for the family. Most times they want to close that chapter in their life and kind of move on with their healing. So it's very difficult. Then you have the elderly people who are afraid to come out because of fear of being exposed. And then you have in Bermuda, there are a large number of families who wish to attend funerals to say goodbye to their loved one, but is not able to. So there are just so many challenges that we have to deal with. And then you're as a funeral director, we have to also make sure we're in compliance with what is required of us with the funerals and everything as well. So it hasn't been easy. It has not been easy. Of course, with Zoom and other ways of social media, we are able to offer where people can view online, but it's not the same.
Mm. Yeah, I'm sure that's been difficult trying to manage grieving families
Yes.
around all the mandates, you know.
Yes.
In terms of the mandates, how has that been managed? Have any direct restrictions been put on, your business, or like are people checking in with you in terms of what you're doing, or are there any policies to deter you from kind of breaking mandates or things of that nature? What's that side of it been like for you?
Well, you have grieving families who just made up their mind they want to attain. They want to attain. So
Mm.
you're dealing with mandates and restrictions, and you're trying to explain to families. Listen, we are eligible for a fine from the government, a $6,000 fine from the government
Wow. Okay.
if we don't comply. So try explaining that to a family who wants to say goodbye to their loved one. They don't want to hear that. And then you're heading to the cemetery or to do a graveside service or burial. People's going to show up. We have no idea how many people's going to be there, although we have made it known to our families this is what is required. But
Hmm.
people, they need that part to heal, to move on, to close their chapter in their lives. So it's been very difficult. And then in addition, what I find is a lot of the churches are afraid to open because they want to comply with what is required. And then when some of them are open, it's just so much confusion as far as the rules, the regulations, what is required. Some are not sure, they're asking us. And then when things flip flop and change, if the numbers go up, then the restrictions change.
Hmm.
You can't do this, you can't do that. And so we as funeral directors have to make sure we're up to date with what's going on with the restrictions to inform not only the families but also the ministers as well, because not everybody um, is aware. It's craziness. It's craziness. And then we have to make sure we do the wellness, the temperature checks, the hand sanitizing, the contact list of people. And some families, some people who attend funerals don't want to give you the phone numbers or anything. People
Right.
just, they're like, "Why you need my number for?" Although they know you need it, but
Right.
give
Right.
me my
Right.
number.
Right. Yeah.
So, but most times we try and get from families a list already of persons who will be in attendance,
Hmm.
especially if the numbers are low. Well, we're like, say, if it's 20 people required that can only attend the funeral, we ask for a list of persons who will be in attendance, so that way we can check people in when they come. So it's quite challenging, Eugene. Yes.
Right. I'm sure. So for you, do you find that people are more concerned about being in compliance with government mandates, or do you find that people are more concerned about the risk of contracting COVID-19?
I would say they're more concerned about catching COVID-19.
Hmm.
Yes. People, majority of people would comply with what government is required of them.
Mm-hmm.
and the mandates, but a lot of them are more so
Mm-hmm.
the older generation, because I'm got this, I'm got that, I'm got these health issues, so they are more afraid of catching COVID.
Right. So how do you feel about that, or what's that been like for you, kind of like dealing with that? Because I noticed you said it's primarily the older population that feels that way.
Yes.
Where do you feel that's all kind of coming from, and what's your thoughts on it?
Well, you know, me personally, I feel there's just so much fear being put out there, in general, um, where if you don't get this, if you don't get that, you're going to die. Nobody wants to hear that. And so when fear is pushed on you, you're going to do what you think is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And which is,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. I understand that. And at the same time, I want people to stop and think. Stop and think, and not necessarily ask questions to the powers that be, but ask yourself, does this make sense? Does this add up? I'm not saying that COVID isn't real. I'm not saying that. But some things just don't make sense.
Mm.
And it's just simple questions. Think for yourself as well. Think for yourself. Don't let certain people who are not trained in that profession, in the healthcare profession, to dictate to you what's taking place and what's this and that. Ask, do your research. There's so much, this you have access to so much information out there on the internet. And it's no excuse not to do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Don't take a doctor's word for it. Don't take this person's word for it. Do your research
Mm.
and make some sound, sensible decisions when it comes to yourself. I had to do the same thing for not only myself, but also for my father. You
Right.
know, I'm his primary caregiver, his elderly.
Yes.
And so what I think is best for him is what I done for him.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, it just thinking about what you're saying and thinking about society, you know, yes, for many of us, it may be easy to just jump on the internet and do research. Not everyone's necessarily computer savvy. Not everyone is actually has computers and things of that nature. And the other thing is that, when we think about keeping up to date with what's going on in our country,
Mm,
or even around the world, then, we've relied heavily on the media for that,
true.
and
Mm,
so for most people, they feel that they're doing their due diligence when they turn on the TV and watch the local news, take the time to read the newspaper, or even listen to some international news.
mm,
And if they're doing that, they feel as if that's all they need to do. I mean, it's all people have been doing for years.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So what makes this situation different? Why all of a sudden do people need to go to other sources, do you feel, in this scenario, when they've just been watching the news and reading the newspaper all this time?
Mm. Well, you know, the thing is, now there are a lot of this. When COVID first came out, um, there were just so many things out there that was pushing in our face, in our face, in our face. Now a lot of things is coming back talking against it from the same
Mm,
people,
right.
not necessarily in Bermuda, but abroad. And it's like, okay, so why are we hearing this? So, when you're told that, okay, you get the first jab, now you got to take a second jab. In some countries, it's a third jab. When first they told us that, you know, you be protected from the first one. So it's ask yourself some questions,
Mm,
and then in addition to that, talk to other people. Talk to people who may be in the holistic field, who may be in the medical field. Some people have talked to the doctors, and the doctors are may be giving them some advice and saying it's up to you to make that decision. So I would say don't just rely on the news and what's being pushed out there, because a lot of times what I'm finding is a lot of things that talk against COVID 19 or the jab, more so the jab, it's censored. If you
Right.
put up something against the jab on Facebook, they take it down. If you put it up on YouTube, it's censored. They take it down. Why? Why do they do that?
Right. And again, Doreen, I mean, I feel I can relate to the sentiments. I'm just thinking about, you know, the way society has evolved over the years
Mm-hmm.
and how we've, I guess, we've always relied on external sources. And we've relied on external sources for a lot of things. If you think of it, it's like you deal with your spirituality in a church, you know, you deal
Yes.
with your education in a school,
Yes.
you know, you deal with your health via a doctor. It's just like if, you know, someone passed in my family, then I would rely on your expertise
Sure. Sure.
as an owner and operator of a funeral home,
Understand.
you know, because I'd be like, well, I don't really know anything about what I should do with the body and all of that. So it's like, what are you asking me? So now I need to go on the internet and figure out, like, make sure. So I need to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm just saying all that to say that this, as I'm listening to you,
Right.
as much as what you're saying makes sense, I'm
Right.
just putting myself in the shoes
Of
of
course.
someone who's always relied on the newspaper,
Sure.
always relied on the news,
Yes.
whether it's local or international.
Yes.
And now, and you're not the only one saying this,
Right.
but then all of a sudden you're saying to someone who's in that comfort zone
Mm.
that now you need to, like, look for another opinion. It's like getting a second opinion for your family doctor that you had all your life. You're like, well, why would I see anybody else? He's saying we always use this doctor,
Mm.
you know? So
Yes.
this situation seems to be asking of people or asking people or challenging people to adopt behaviors that they're not accustomed to.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And
Of
what I'm
course.
hearing from you is that the signal for the change is the fact that there are so many things that are going on that are not really adding up. And
Mm.
if you're noticing that things are not really adding up, then maybe you should look at different sources or at least talk to other people
Sure.
to see how they feel about it, you know what I mean, and things of that nature. So yeah, it is a very interesting dynamic for persons who tend to challenge things or constantly question things, you know, not necessarily because they oppose it, but just to get a deeper understanding. You know, what your suggestion may seem normal, but for others, it could be a real stretch.
Yeah. What I even find too, Eugene, though, but in general, like even when it comes to, like, I know, like, say for personally for me with my dad, if he goes in the hospital or to his doctor, most people in general, they would just say, okay, this is what's wrong with me. Uh and the doctor say, okay, I want you to do this, do this. No, nobody asks questions. Nobody asks questions. So if I'm at the doctor's office with my father, or in the hospital with my father, I'm gonna drill you. You're a doctor or a nurse. I'm gonna drill you. I'm gonna ask you, what is this medication for? What are the side effects? What am I to expect? So a lot of people just accept whatever they're told, and they don't ask questions. So here's something that's come out that's new to all of us. We're not familiar with it. We're scared. Fear is being put out there. And the majority of people, they don't ask questions. They just go along with the flow. So
Right.
it's just something. I mean, it's even some of the doctors aren't. They're still trying to find out. Okay, what's with this and what's with that. Some of them, and they try and best explain to you the best way they can and what they know about it.
Mm-hmm.
They may be more versed and more informed about it now, more so than it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, ask questions. Don't just accept whatever you're told. Ask
Mm-hmm.
questions. That's just a simple thing. Ask questions. Talk to
Right.
other people. Listen to other people's viewpoints. Don't make it into an argument, with other people who may be um, against it, or somebody that may be for it. Don't make it into an argument. It's just getting information. That's
Right.
the bottom line. Get information, make some sensible choices.
Right. Understood. And that's a good point. So you talked a bit about your family. You talked a bit about your business. What's your understanding of the social impact? With the wider community. I know we already talked about. You've been talking about just doing a bit of research and looking for more information. But how have you found this has impacted? Of course, I'm sure you're in touch with people all the time through your business, whether it be through the funeral home. You also do a lot of education around herbs and natural living and things of that nature. So, what's kind of been like the feedback you're getting, and what have you been sensing about what's going on in the country socially?
Sure.
As
Well, I find I'll start first with the funeral business. You know, touch is important when it comes to healing. And it's very difficult to be able to express your condolences and to a family member or to someone, and you can't hug them or you can't touch them, and you have to uh, be 6 feet apart and all of this. So it's very difficult to socialize with people on a funeral. Number one, well, not necessarily socializing, but express your condolences to them. Uh, Now I know with also uh, people come on contact me all the time and they say, Doreen, I need to get more information on different herbs and stuff, and I've gotten this, I've gotten that, and I need more information. So as far as social media and stuff like that, people are constantly contacting people like myself, and they want to know more information. They are hungry for how they can build up their immune system. um, what can they take, what can they do? So that's what we're facing, that's what we're looking at as far as that's concerned. In addition to that, people are just afraid to just, and I understand, just being with family and friends, um, and just having that support through this whole thing. It's very difficult. A lot of people are facing this, facing such various issues alone. They don't want to come out in the open and talk about certain things, and it's very difficult for them. Um, so even on lockdowns, it's been very difficult for people dealing with all of this. And for me personally, when all of this started, I had to turn off the TV. I don't have TV. I had to turn off the internet. Turn off my computer and separate myself from this for a period of time, because after a while it got too much to deal with, and you have to find that balance, um, of how to cope and deal with everything. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And when you also are on lockdown and you can't go nowhere, I'm a person that loves to be outside. I'm a person that loves to interact. I love to be in nature. And uh, if you are not a type of person that can find that balance, it can be very difficult for people who are also introverts or just not used to being um, locked on. So it's very
Right.
difficult, very difficult.
Right.
Yes.
So you found that there's been like, I guess the mental health impact has been strong from all the restrictions, all the
Hmm.
changes, I guess the taking away of our freedoms and things of that nature. Things that we just took for granted, not
Yes.
being able to just move around, not being able to connect, not being able to touch, things of that nature have had a huge impact on us all socially. You know,
Yes.
I heard you talking a bit about people coming in for different herbs, asking how to improve their immune system. I'm sure that continues. I guess that's a positive. Uh,
It is.
that people are actually showing more interest in their health,
Yes.
and obviously, making sure that they are more resilient and things of that nature. So I've always thought that this situation has created an opportunity for us to be even more prepared for the eventuality of anything like this in the future. So
Absolutely.
that's where
Ab-
the real opportunity comes in. What else have you been having people contact you about? Is it just really people, I guess, improving the immune system? Has there been any kind of illness or particular illnesses or ailments that you've seen an increase of in the community? You know?
Well, I know I've had a couple of people who may have come on a tour, and I may talk about a certain herbs that will help with rashes and all. And I know of one lady, she had expressed to me that she had broken out in a rash. She had gotten a reaction from having the jab, and she said she never has broken out in a rash before, and she wanted to know, okay, what can I do to help get rid of this rash? So that was
Mhm.
one instance, and I do recall a number of other stories that come about that are people are talking about amongst family, friends, and just talking with people in general about reactions that they have had. And, I find that it's important for people to speak up more because making the right decisions for yourself, for your family is important. And there are there are platforms that people can actually come on to talk more about their stories, and because I do know of some situations where people have taken the jab and have had reactions from it, and there are safe platforms that you can come, such as this one, to talk
Mhm.
about your reactions that your adverse reactions that you've gotten from the jab. Some people are very afraid to talk. They're afraid to come
Well,
forward, and there are people out there. There are a lot of people out there. Now some people say, well, I didn't nothing's happened to me, which is fine. Nothing's happened to me, but then again, um there are people, lots of people out there. And some people have even expressed that they believe their loved one have died from the jab.
mm,
So it's come forward, talk about it. And even talking about it helps with the healing.
right.
It's
So, so you've had people who have been willing to share this information privately,
yes,
um, but you know, somehow this information is not really reaching the public domain.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, I noticed it has been interesting because I'm not sure if I've seen anything in the media about adverse effects. So, I guess for someone who's just following the media, the assumption would be that there are none um,
Mm,
on the island,
mm,
you know. And so, if that is the case, that people are suffering adverse effects and it's not being spoken of, then that is concerning because what's clear is that governments and authorities, even the media all around the world, have taken a firm position of really pushing the jab. And one thing that comes up a lot is informed consent.
mhm.
And informed consent would mean people would need to understand all the information, the benefits and the potential risks in
Yes,
order to make an informed decision.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think in that regard, you know, I can appreciate people wanting to be private.
Sure.
Is not something that you necessarily want to advertise. Any illness. You're not really jumping out to say that you have some illness, or you broke out in a rash, or anything negative has happened to you.
Sure.
Um, but then on another side, there is a kind of like a bigger responsibility to the community to just be clear and honest, so that others are informed about the potential risks. So if there are people out there, I would encourage you to be vocal, whether you're vocal anonymously, or whether you're vocal in person. It is important for that information to be shared. I'm sure you got a lot of information, Doreen. You deal with, a side of life that most people are far removed from. So you're dealing with the afterlife,
Yes.
and I guess that's the interesting balance that you play, because you find yourself educating people of how to sustain life, or how
Yes.
to improve their quality of life
Yes.
and things of that nature. Because I mean, some may considering that you're not moving in the interest of your own business.
That's true.
So you're
That's
trying to
true.
you're trying to stop people from having to call you
Yes.
about
Yes.
the funeral services.
That's true.
But
I make
as,
joke
as
about
it
that.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, as it is all part of life. Birth and death is all part of the process. So
Yes.
is not necessarily something you need to advertise. It's something that's constantly evolving anyway. So
Yes.
yeah, so that is positive. How you kind of straddle, both sides of the equation in that regard. So with that said, I will go. I will go on to say this. Um, I guess, what suggestions do you have, man, that could help us all get beyond the pandemic? You know,
Yes.
let's talk more about that, about the positive side
Sure.
of what people can do, and how we can empower others, like to take more control of their health and things of that nature. What suggestions come to mind?
I would love to share the suggestions. Well, let's start off with the acronym called New Start. It's
Hmm.
the 8 laws of health. The 8 laws of health. Now,
Hmm.
it's an acronym. So N is for nutrition. Now, if we put
Right.
the proper nutrition in our bodies. Now, a lot of people will call me up often and they would say, Doreen, what can you recommend to boost my immune system? So the first thing I ask them is, what is your diet like? And they say, well, I said, well, do you eat lots of sugar? Yeah, I eat some sugars, some sugar. I said, do you eat lots of pasta, white flour, processed foods, fried foods? Yeah, well, that's my diet. I know I got to do better with my diet. So nutrition is very important. And what I like to promote or talk mainly about it, or advise people, is to go with more of a plant-based diet. Uh, it could be either vegan or alkaline. And I know a lot of people are not so willing to give up a lot of the fast foods and some of the other things. But one of the things that I find fascinating about foraging from the land is that every season there are different plants that come out specifically for just that season, for illnesses and sicknesses that you find. I'll give you an example. Now, when flu season is out, guess what comes out? Plants all high in vitamin C. It's amazing.
Nature.
Amazing.
Nature
Yes,
just knows.
provides it all for us.
Hmm.
And there's just so many plants you can find and eat and incorporate in your diet that will boost your immune system.
Mm.
The stinging nettles, the nasturtiums, The Barbados gooseberries, all high in vitamin C. And they come out just before the flu season.
Interesting.
It blows my mind every time I talk about it. So, proper diet doesn't make sense you taking immune boosters and boosting your immune system if you're going to eat crappy food. You're defeating your purpose. So, diet plays a big part. And I tell people all the time your food is your medicine, and your medicine is your food. And we walk past food all the time to go buy food. So, that's one of the main things. One of the main things you can focus on is proper nutrition, proper diet, because your food is your medicine. The other one is exercise. Exercise is very important. Get your body moving, breathe in that fresh air. Your body needs to move. You need to get that circulation, your blood moving. So that's going to help with healing as well. The next one is water. Drink plenty water. You can also do hydrotherapy with water as well. Hydrotherapy is a powerful way of healing, and so you can use it for lots of remedies for healing. And of course, water, when you drink it, is also a cleansing to cleanse the toxins out of your body. Drink plenty water. And for some of you who may not like to drink plain water, what I like to do is take different herbs that are high in taste. Like, say for instance, the allspice leaf. You can get the allspice leaf. You can get some cherry leaves and crush them and place them in your water, infuse your water and drink it that way. You can also use fruit and put in your water, infuse it that way and drink it. So get in your water and also stay hydrated. It's very important. The next one is sunshine. There are certain times of the day when you should get out in the sun to get your vitamin D. Very, very important. Um, and then there are certain times of the day when the sun is just too hot and you should not be in the sun. So you have to know when is the best time to get out and get your sun. And also, the sun kills a lot of viruses in your body and on the outside of your body as well. So the sun is a powerful healer. The other one is temperance. Temperance is very important. Now, I would suggest to abstain from alcohol, smoking, and some of the other bad habits that we have that can also lower your immune system. So, proper temperance is very important. Also, there is air. Air meaning fresh air. Now, I know it's summertime, it's very hot. A lot of people like the air condition. If you can abstain from air condition and breathe in the fresh air, the fresh air. And when you think about it, majority of times we walk around with masks on. We're not getting that fresh air that we need. And even when you're sleeping nights, open your windows, let the fresh air come in and inhale that nice, clean, fresh air. We are blessed in Bermuda to be able to have such clean air compared to what's in the States and other parts of the world. So take advantage of the fresh air to help clean and heal your body as well. Rest. Rest is important. Get proper rest. Um, Rest also helps with healing, building your immune system up. Now, when you're tired and your body is breaking down, what happens? You are prone to getting sick, right? So that's why nobody can tell me we don't have natural immunity. We do. We do, because when you're tired, your body is telling you, I need rest so I can help heal you, so I can help build that immune system up. So rest is very important. It's all part of healing. And the last one, but not least, is trust in divine power. Trust in divine power. If you believe in a higher power, many people may say God. Many people may say Jah. Maybe many people may say Jesus. There are many people have their different uh, trust in divine that they can refer to. That also would help you as well as far as healing. Trust in divine power. So
Mm,
those are the things that if you follow the 8 laws of health, you'll live a better quality of life. And that's for anybody, for anyone. Whether you've had COVID, whether you haven't, turn to the 8 laws of health.
mm. Wow. Yeah, give thanks, Doreen. Yeah, that's positive. I,
Yeah.
I definitely know I could do with more rest.
We all can. We all can. That's for sure. I'm guilty of that.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
I definitely know I could do with more rest. But yeah, it is important. I know a lot of people question things like, the railway trails being um, locked off, beaches, parks, things of that nature early out. Because it's like, wow, we should be going to the beach. That's where you have the negative ions, that are present. You need more fresh air. You need like the salt air coming off the water. All of these things are very necessary elements, like
Grounding.
for maintaining, our health.
Yes.
When there was restrictions on exercise, or even I was always concerned when I saw people exercising in masks. And I'm not sure that I ever heard anyone actually say that people should wear masks while they exercise.
Mm.
But I find it interesting that no one discouraged it.
Mm.
I
Especially if
just,
you're out in the open, in the fresh air.
yeah, I
Yeah.
never really understood that.
Mm-hmm.
So you would see people out running or riding and things, and again, like, it's hard to fault people for being concerned, and
Sure.
and people are just doing their best to follow the advice that's been given.
Sure.
So I really appreciate that. I just find it interesting that that wasn't being discouraged.
Mm.
And I think your points are extremely valid, um, about the 8 laws of health. It's very important for us to be proactive. It's very important for us to take responsibility, for our health. And it's really cool how, like, New Start as an acronym.
Yes.
Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trust in divine power. And what's really great about this is that these are things that anyone can do.
Yes.
We can all apply ourselves to these points. you know
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah, so thank you very much for sharing that. I see a few comments coming in. you know Yes, trust and divine power, exactly. Or
Yes.
trust in divine power.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Doreen, for a
Mm.
balanced approach to life.
You're welcome.
Yes. And people are saying, yes, grounding. Yeah, that's the other thing. Even when you're going to the
Oh,
beach and the
yes.
park and taking your shoes off and grounding and things of that nature. What's
Connecting
that?
with.
What is your thought about that? I see someone saying their nerves will run when they wore a mask. Yeah. I'm sure it's been a lot of things, that's
Yes.
happened with people wearing masks. But Doreen, what do you feel about, I guess, the absence of guidance around these items over the past year and a half? Because outside of the conversations that we've had on this program,
Mm.
there has been very little. I know there was one program that government had, and it was rather late, and they had some young practitioners, which was very positive to see
Mm-hmm.
that they have gotten into kind of holistic health and
Mm.
natural living and things of that nature.
Mm.
And they had probably like a 2-hour program where they were talking about different things. But outside of that, I'm not sure if there was anything else. So I really commend, um, the minister who put that on.
Yes.
But what are your thoughts about the absence of that throughout this whole process? And you know, yeah.
Well, what I find interesting is it may have been about three to 4 years ago. Uh, our very own government were the ones promoting exercise in the park.
Mm,
Come out lunchtime, exercise with us, build your health. Exercise is important in the fresh air, all of this. You don't hear any of that from this very same government. You don't, you know, I I believe in at least giving other options as well.
mm-hmm,
So why not continue the program or promote exercise, promote health, promote healthy eating? You know, where's all of this information? Why haven't they been promoting this? Why haven't they been pushing this as well?
well, and even I'm listening to you say as well. All right. So, and by you saying as well, you know, I can feel what you're suggesting is that the mainstream narrative tends to focus on, medicine, pharmaceuticals, or Western medicine.
Mm.
Why is that considered to be the authority?
Mm.
Like, what is your view on that? As someone who has invested time and energy and learned tremendous amounts of information about plants and herbs and natural living, how do you feel about the assumption that Western medicine is the authority as it relates to health?
I will say this: I'm not totally against Western medicine.
Well, no, definitely. I wouldn't expect that, and
You
I
know,
don't I
when you
don't
need it.
encourage anybody to be against anything because you're right. When you need it, you're like, okay, well, look, forget everything I said before. So I'm not really talking about being against it. It's
Right.
not about
But
being against it. It's
right.
all, in my view, is all necessary. I'm just
Yes.
saying is that the it's somewhat implied
Yes.
that
Yes.
it's always the authority and that everything else comes under that. So
Well,
that's what I'm really calling on. Like, how do you really feel about that?
I feel even more so now, more people are getting into uh or wanting more information on the natural way. And if you go back to history, the original medicine was herbs. And even some of the pharmaceutical medications that you may be prescribed to today are made from some herbs, or just
Mm,
that's
mm,
other things are added to it. But the original medicine is herbs, and it's just that with now more people are turning more to the holistic way. People often call or message or how can I get off of this? How can I get off of that? Now, let's make it clear: I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor. So, by no means am I even qualified to be taking you off your medication, but I can refer you to people who can help you. Now, a lot of people are just tired of so much pharmaceutical medications. I can recall before my dad had suffered his stroke, he was on 10 medications a day. And I said, there has to be another way. And he suffered with 2 strokes within a period of 3 months. And I said, enough is enough. And I took him to a place in Chattanooga, Tennessee called Wildwood Lifestyle Center. My dad is 84 years old today. And it's a testimony because he is on no pharmaceutical medications today. He's 84. His diabetes has been reversed. He's on a plant based diet. and it's on all herbs. Now, that's not a testimony. I don't know what is.
Mm.
I
Mm.
don't know what is.
Yeah.
And
Very true.
I'm
Very
a
true.
true believer when it comes to herbs. I'm not knocking pharmaceutical medications,
Hmm.
but I'm a true believer. And the more I research, the more I eat from the land and realize how we got to get back to the basics. We got to get back to the basics. It's so
Right.
important. So important.
So we had a comment here, money making, you know, and it looks like that was in response to my question to you about why it's tends to be implied that Western medicine is always the authority on matters.
Mm,
So I just pulled this out of your bio, and in your bio it says you were exposed to foraging for wild edible plants at a young age until it eventually became a passion of yours and a way of life. So let's talk about a bit about how that happened, because when I read this, what I'm recognizing is that we have transitioned. There was a time when the understanding you have about plants and herbs was general knowledge, common knowledge even,
mm-hmm.
that most people understood how to utilize herbs to their benefit and to
Yes.
the benefit of their family, friends, their loved ones.
Yes.
You know, we have now transitioned into, right, a state where we tend to be extremely ignorant
Mm,
about the existence of these things,
mm,
and even if we know that they exist, about how to use them, you
mm,
know, or even what to use them for.
mm-hmm.
And that has a lot to do with now our newfound reliance on pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now, so we've transitioned into a place where we've become comfortable with, and this goes back to my comments about externalizing everything. We've become comfortable with the fact that we are now provided with pharmaceuticals
Mm,
through doctors, you know, and as a result of that, the time that we used to invest into ensuring that the understanding about plants and herbs was embedded, well embedded within our communities, we've kind of let that go. So
lost it.
how were you blessed with this opportunity, or what was different about your circumstances that you ended up in the position that you were in as a young person, which has led to the position that you are in today?
Yes. I was fortunate enough. My father came from a family of 12.
Mm.
And of course, he was taught back then, of course, a lot of times they had to survive from eating from the land. You know, if you have a family of 12 children, you got to find a way to feed them. So that knowledge was instilled in my father, and he instilled it in me. And I'm grateful for that because not only has it provided food on my table, but also healing for my body. And I've taught my daughters the same way. And I realized the importance of teaching others, and especially our young people, because if you was to go in a school today and you say to them, where does apple juice come from? They're going to tell you a box or the store. They cannot relate or associate where apple juice has come from. It's come from an apple, but they won't tell you that. And I was talking to a summer day camp teacher one time, and she said, Doreen, none of my summer day campers have been out to pick cherries. They don't know they never tasted a cherry. So what do you mean? What do you mean? So even exposing our children to get out there and explore what is available to them, what you can eat every season. There are different plants out there that you can eat and that would help heal your body every season. And every season these plants come out for specific reasons, for different illnesses. And it just blows my mind. So I've been blessed to have this knowledge to be introduced to me from a young age. And as I got older, I lost interest with it until my father took sick. And then
Mm.
that's where I realized I need to get back, like I mentioned before, to the basics. Get back to the basics. And just simple diet plays a big part, a big part. And with him, after he suffered his strokes, and he's now on a plant-based diet, as I mentioned. And and some people, I can respect that they may say, well, oh, I can't do vegan, or I can't. It's just all about uh, fine tuning your diet to a certain way. And I definitely would recommend ancient greens as well to people, like kamut, quinoa, uh, spelt. Those are some of the ancient greens because they're not processed. But getting back to what I was just saying is that, I've been very fortunate that this information was passed on to me through my father. And that's why I feel it's important for me to share my knowledge with other people because it's very much needed, very much needed.
Mm.
And I see someone mention about the stinging nettles.
Yes, yes.
Again, that is a very powerful plant. People shy away from it because it stings. It will sting you. But I'm telling you, you get your hands on some stinging nettles, you can take them internally, and you can also use them externally as well. Powerful. That's another subject altogether. But if you want to learn more about the plants, I do tours. I do tours. I do cooking classes. I do seminars, different presentations, and all. So on the tours, you will actually get to learn about different plants that are available in different locations. Give you suggestions on how to use the plants as well. And in addition to that, we serve tasters made from some of the plants that are featured on the tour.
All right. Well,
Yes.
that's great. This has really been wonderful. I can see that those who are watching really appreciative of everything that you've shared today. It's really been an honor to have you on the show with us today, Doreen.
Thank you, Eugene.
I know from my personal experiences with you, you possess such a wealth of knowledge. I always learn new things every time I'm around you. And so, for anyone out there who is watching this video and you are interested in what Doreen has been sharing today, I really encourage you to reach out. I really encourage you to do so. Also, if you're interested in being a part of community conversations, please contact us. Our email is info@beyondthepandemic.tv. And also, I'll put up Doreen's information again. She has an email that you can use. Her business is Wild Herbs and Plants of Bermuda. So that's one business. Obviously, we talked about the funeral home earlier, but we're trying to keep you away from there. So she has wild plants and herbs of bda@gmail.com, or you can send a WhatsApp message to 441-335-1958. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
again, thank you very much, Doreen. It's really been a pleasure having you. Thank you, everyone who shared the experience of this conversation with us today. I see there's a few more comments that are popping up. People are saying, yeah, thank you as well. But yeah, so we really appreciate it. We appreciate everyone that's joined, and we pray that everyone has valued this conversation, gleaned some knowledge from it, and maybe we can all start or have a new start, as you said
That's
in your
right.
acronym, as a
Absolutely.
result of the conversations that we've had today. But thank you again, Doreen. Thank you again, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And have a wonderful evening. Peace and love.